Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the series on how you can leave a 9 to 5 and step into your passion and your purpose. And some of you I know have been wanting to do that. So this whole interview series is about how you can actually do it, how you can be like all of us that have left a 9 to 5, didn't do a 9 to 5, but first and more importantly, found their purpose, because your purpose is to serve. And what is that? So we're going to get started right away, and we're going to meet Tanja Diamond, who is famous.
At least in my mind.
Yeah, we were just chatting before, and all of the things that she's managed to do and been unemployable like me my whole life. And let's talk to Tanja first about, when did she realize that she needed to follow her passion and purpose? Because that's what this is all about. So welcome, Tanja. I'm so excited you were able to have the time to do this with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Honored to be here. Thanks. And a great topic to share for sure. If the question is what age, I would probably say 6. 6 years old.
Wow.
I was walking a different path than most people. My mom was like, yeah, there's something a little bit off about this kid. And thankfully for me, she was also kind of an outlier. And so I didn't get squished too much, at
Yeah.
least from her, in doing things my way or wanting to do them my way. But I will say the thing about that is the difference between I spent a lot of time rebelling against things, which rebellion is different than revolution. And when I finally turned away from rebelling, which is great rocket fuel, like at the beginning to get momentum, but
Yeah.
you don't want to stay in rebellion for long. If you shift to revolution, which is moving towards the things you want, that has a lot different energy and component to it. So
Yeah.
I could have made that switch a little bit earlier.
Well, how did you know that what you do? And first of all, let's just tell everybody what you do in a nutshell so they
I'm a
understand.
master life strategist. I help people reset their nervous systems and heal trauma, as well as anything to do with sex, love, life, business. Strategy is my thing. Figuring
Perfect.
out how to get somewhere fast and efficiently.
I love that. That's the strategy part. And that's what people need. I find they need clarity and peace and clarity. But so how did you know as a child that you needed to move in a direction that was not, quotation marks, the norm for young girls?
I think it was because the norm was so hard.
Ah,
So I didn't read. Nobody knew that I had an eidetic memory, but I couldn't read in school because I didn't take apart letters. I read them in a snapshot. And so school was difficult and weird and strange. And I was 2 years younger than everybody else because I got moved up. And yeah, everything was just awkward, awkward and hard. The things that most people thought were like normal part of life seemed really weird and strange to me. And so I did have a corporate gig for a very short time. My dad was a project manager in a huge private construction company that does international. So I've lived all over the world. I grew up in Africa and Europe and things. But it was very strange indeed to, like, this is what you do, this kind of drone, don't think about anything, just perform this act, do this, do this, do this, seemed so out of tune with what I see in nature, so out of tune with how my body felt and how my mind worked, that it just didn't make sense.
yeah, I get
So,
that. I get
yeah,
that. And
right.
so and so when you were feeling this as a child, what were you led to do after your corporate gig, after you found out that you didn't want to do that? How did you get started, and what was it like in the beginning for you? What was the struggles or glories, both?
Yeah. Well, the corporate gig was, so I graduated from high school at 16 and I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. And even that, like going to school, was still so very like, okay, if I already know this stuff, why do I have to sit in a class to do this stuff? So I kept bucking against all the systems. Like, why do we have to do it that way? It's archaic. We've been doing it that way for 100 years. Why do we still need to do that? I took the corporate gig for a little while because my dad was kind of like, look, you need to do something. You have to quit rebelling against everything, and so I did it to prove I could do it, and then I got laid off,
Yeah.
so that was good. But then out in the world I'm thinking, what am I going to do? So I coached swimming, I trained horses, I did animal behavior work. I was always an information disseminator.
Ah,
I'm insatiably curious and I read over 2,000 words a minute. So it's very easy for me to gather information. And I think everybody's curious like I am. So I'm that person that lots of people hate, the know-it-all person. I don't know it all, but I want to tell everybody everything I know, because wouldn't you want to know the fact that you can cure this or do
Yeah,
that or the
yeah.
reason this, right? So I've coaching was a natural extension, especially after I found sex. The first coaching gigs I got into were sex related because I thought sex was so horrible. How everybody was doing it was so bad. I'm like, clearly we need help. So I jumped into relationships and sex coaching for a while. But I have so many pieces that I love so much that, I want to coach on lots of different things. So that's my biggest challenge and strength, especially if you're an entrepreneur. I can tell you that most entrepreneurs fail because when they are too broad. And so that wanting to do it all or serve everybody and not niche down into something specific, especially if you're an online entrepreneur, will cost you thousands, millions, and probably cost you to fail. So that was the biggest struggle that I would say when I realized that the internet was going to be a thing back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I put my first site up and I was like, this thing's going to go. We need to be on this, doing this. And everybody's like, you're insane. What are you even talking about? Yeah. So I think that's the struggle for me, would be being narrow or niching. Yeah. And I've been really fortunate that I managed to figure out ways to not have to do that and still be successful.
But yeah, I agree with you, because yeah, right. Like, how do you niche a light worker? Because I show up for my clients either body, mind, or soul, or all three, wherever they're struggling the most, and then you combine all three. Yeah. So I think, that niche market, I don't know how that's going to work moving into the next dimensions, because I think it would just become one of all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the reason it works, and I believe you have to do it, and I coach every business client I have to this, is you have to meet somebody somewhere.
Exactly.
So you pick a somewhere. Like most men would have come to me because they wanted to have more sex, not with me. But
we get that straight. That's not a sex worker.
Nothing problem. Yeah, no problem with that. That's just not what I was doing. Yeah. But from there, they come in with that need or that desire, and from there, I'm able to take them broader. Mm-hmm. But that's the whole point. If you can't meet somebody somewhere that they can recognize,
right,
the net's too big and you'll lose everybody.
Yep.
So that's our fear, as a lot of creative people, for sure, is that, I don't want to be put in a box, right? I've been fighting the box like a lot of you, forever.
Yeah.
And the idea of putting in this label on me that puts me in a box is horrifying. And yet I can tell you that when you do that and meet people in one place, you always can take them, once they're in your sphere, wherever it is you want, when you've added value to their life.
And that's good advice for women out there that are wanting to step into their purpose, or have stepped into their purpose and are a bit confused. I just did an interview with a woman who says she's really struggling with marketing, struggling as a solo entrepreneur and not having the support. And I mean, we talked about before this that I was shut down out of my business by the social media giants, so to speak, last year. So marketing is huge. But, back to your passion and purpose. And I mean, this is an extreme story, because you knew at a young age and stepped into it. I mean, I rebelled too, but I stuck to the norm for the longest time because of expectations, even though I rebelled and ran away and things like that. But how does someone, and I'm going to ask for your advice on this for the audience that's listening. How would you recommend someone find their passion and their purpose?
And I'm glad you kind of make those two separate things, because I have a really weird idea about purpose that most people are pretty shocked by, and go figure. And
yeah, really.
Yeah. But I would say passion is one of those things that if you don't ignite your passion, and, how do you do that? Well, you have to be integrated, meaning that your sexuality, as well as your creativity, as well as your courage and your heart and your truth and your mind, they all have to be integrated. You can't just live from your heart or your head or your crotch. You really have to fire it all up if you want passion. And then passion, you have to look for it as well. It's like, if you're doing things that you're bored with, you're not going to find a lot of passion, right? I'm passionate about the tree outside that's happening right now, or a little lizard that I can find, or something. So that idea of running that arousal energy that's not just sexual but full life energy is the passion part. And the reason most people can't find their passion is because their purpose is lacking. Now, my idea of purpose is called self-management.
Yeah.
So my sole purpose in life is self-management. That means that I'm making sure my nervous system is resilient and not dysregulated. That means that I'm making sure that I'm integrated, meaning I'm listening to all the body wisdom and all that I am while connecting to nature, which is my higher power. If I have a question, I look out into nature and can I find it there? Or how does nature deal with that?
Yep, me too.
Right? And that helps me do that. But as long as I'm self-managing, being in my lane, being accountable, taking care of myself, doing my things that make my nervous system healthy and the rest of me healthy and that type of thing, then my passion can fuel because I'm not in survival mode.
Exactly.
So most people think purpose, for most people, purpose is like their mission, but I have purpose, self-management, fuels passion. Once I have passion, I can clearly see what my mission or vision is.
Exactly. It's about alignment, right?
Right.
I think those are important things to say because that's why I do it different, passion and purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And so I know for me, and this is just a quick example, when I remember where I was in my bedroom, and maybe I was 7, 8, 9. I wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, and a hairdresser all at the same time.
Nice.
So, and of course, neither of that happened, but that was a passion of mine at that time. And then I wanted to be an author, and I am now, but I didn't know it back then. I would send poems away to magazines and they would be rejected. And of course, that just added to my rejection and abandonment issues anyway.
Right.
You see, most women say, I don't have a purpose. I don't know what I'm supposed to do other than look after my kids, be a grandmother, right? And service to family, right? And I don't have any gifts or talents.
Oh.
That's the big one. And that's another reason I want to do this interview.
Yeah.
Everyone's called to do something.
Yeah. And I think people are trying to find their passion without the other stuff already. Like I'm saying, if you're in survival mode, you're really not going to be what's my passion or my thing, what's my calling. You're in survival mode. Yeah. So the first thing with the whole self-management, which includes financial health, is managing yourself so that you get out of survival mode. Then your passion can ignite because you have space and time to do the things that give you passion, whether that's painting, whatever. I woke up one morning and thought, I want to fly helicopters. So I called the flight school and I started flying helicopters. So I'm a helicopter pilot. But if I didn't have the self-management part down, healed my trauma, done all that, I wouldn't have the passion or the confidence to be able to just decide, oh, you know what, I'm going to buy an equestrian center. So I did that too. I'm an international horse show jumper. I'm an author. I was a rock star. Yeah. Anything that I want to do, I pretty well just go, yeah, I think I'm going to go do that.
Well, you're an anomaly. And I mean, let's face it.
I think, but I'm not scared. You know why I'm not scared of failing.
Exactly. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And yes, and I've always believed we can have, do, and be anything we want if we are in alignment with what you call being in balanced self-management.
Yeah.
And I think most women find that very difficult because they've never had that presented to them before. It's always been survival. I mean, look at me, my story. Absolutely. I've been in survival mode, most of my life.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it was set up for me. So you give excellent advice, and I know we got to wind this up, but if you could say what you wanted to say to women right now to help propel them, to help inspire them or motivate them to do something about their life, what would it be?
When I talk about this idea of nervous system reset and self-management, it would be that. It would be and I'm not talking about doing your nails or taking a bath. I'm talking about breath work, which is the seat of all life. That inspiration is the start of everything. So find yourself a good breath work class, even if you're doing 5 minutes a day, first thing in the morning, and that's helping to calibrate your nervous system. And you do it 7 days a week, putting yourself first before anything else, no matter what the heck is going on, unless somebody's dying. But doing that builds self-trust. Building self-trust builds self-confidence. Building self-confidence allows you to start making decisions to be able to get out of the survival mode that you're in. be willing to take those risks. I sold everything and walked away from my beach house, all my sailboats, everything, and bought an RV and cruised around in an RV a few years ago as a digital nomad. If you're willing to take the risks, you can get the rewards.
Right.
But you first have to get out of that super bad survival mode.
Exactly.
And that is about self-management, because nobody's going to save you. Nobody is coming, that white knight or whatever, the white princess, whoever it is that you think is going to come and rescue you is not. So take care of you. The single most imperative thing is that you understand that you don't know your value until you put yourself first. And
exactly. Wonderful.
that to me is the bottom line of it all.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. That was excellent advice. Wonderful advice to leave our audience with. Now, Tanja, how can people get hold of you?
Tanja Diamond, Tanja Diamond. You'll find me on 30 pages of Google. If you know how to spell my name, you will find me.
Well, we'll make sure your name is right there in bold letters.
Yeah. Facebook, Tanja Diamond. Easy way to get a hold of me and message me there if you want. And I have a lot of different things going on. But my Facebook world is definitely talking about some of this nervous system reset. And I give a lot of value and exercises and things like that as well.
Perfect. I love it. Got to thank you. This was exquisite. I love the advice. I love the propelling forward. And I think our audience is going to get so much out of this interview. So thank you. Thank you. And everyone who's listening, if you loved this, please share this. There are women out there that desperately need to hear this. We are here to inspire and or motivate women into their passion and their purpose. We're here about community support. So please share this out. Thanks for watching. We'll be back again soon. And Tanja, yes, blessings. Thank you, girl. Thank you. Thank you.